Hollywood created legends that will live forever, but behind all that glittering light lie stories far stranger than anyone imagines. And here are 15 of the most bizarre secrets from old Hollywood. Truths that studios, and even the stars themselves, spent decades trying to hide, and never wanted the audience to know. Number 1. The theft and ransoming of Charlie Chaplin's body. In 1977, the theft of Charlie Chaplin's body quickly became one of the strangest events Hollywood had ever heard of. After digging up his coffin and demanding ransom from the Chaplin family, the two thieves shocked all of Switzerland and triggered a weeks-long police manhunt. During that time, his widow Una Chaplin received repeated threatening phone calls, but she refused to pay, believing that Charlie would never want his family to bow to such cowardly men. When the thieves were finally caught, they admitted something that stunned both the police and the press. They had no real plan at all. No escape route, no proper hiding place, not even an idea of what they'd do if Una actually agreed to pay. It was a desperate impulse made worse by the fact that their crime involved the remains of a man adored around the world. Chaplin's coffin was eventually found, buried clumsily in an empty field. When it was brought back for reburial, a reinforced concrete vault was built around it as if Hollywood wanted to protect Chaplin's dignity one last time. Number 2. Clark Gable's dentures. Clark Gable, the king of Hollywood's famous smile, carried a secret MGM never wanted the public to know. At just 32, he had lost nearly all of his natural teeth and had to wear a full set of dentures. The studio immediately covered it up with an expensive replacement and destroyed every old photo taken before he received his new teeth. The dentures didn't just cause him pain, they also gave Gable such notoriously bad breath that the rumor spread throughout Hollywood. Several co-stars later admitted that kissing scenes with him were an unforgettable challenge, but all of them were ordered to stay completely silent in public. That brilliant smile lit up the screen, but behind it was a strange truth that only old Hollywood dared whisper about. Number 3. Judy Garland's studio-imposed diet. Judy Garland, the little girl with the shining eyes in The Wizard of Oz, paid a painful price to keep that innocent image on screen. From her teenage years, MGM forced her into a brutal studio-controlled diet. She was allowed only chicken broth, black coffee, cigarettes to suppress her hunger, and amphetamine-based diet pills. They put her under contract to maintain a specific weight, monitored everything she ate, and at one point even had a doctor wire her jaw so she physically couldn't swallow solid food. What breaks people's hearts most are the accounts from her co-stars. Judy often cried right before filming. The moment she wiped her tears, someone would pull her onto the set, put her in Dorothy's blue dress, and demand that she smile under the blazing studio lights. Her eyes were red from sleepless nights, from pills, from pressure. Yet on camera, they looked clear and magical, as if none of the suffering had ever existed. Number 4. Hitchcock's disturbing obsession with refrigerators. Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense, carried a strange obsession that most audiences never knew about. A morbid fascination with refrigerators and the idea that they could be used to hide dead bodies. This fixation wasn't just creative inspiration. It became a personal hobby that made many people on his sets deeply uneasy. Hitchcock was said to have collected dozens of newspaper clippings and photographs of deaths involving refrigerators, keeping them in a private file he called his quiet time. And during the production of Psycho, he reportedly brought an actual refrigerator onto the set not for any scene in the film, but simply so he could open it between takes and stare into it, lost in thought, leaving the cast genuinely unsettled. Perhaps this eerie little habit only highlights something everyone who worked with Hitchcock already knew. The obsessions in his films never stayed on the screen. Number 5. Marlon Brando and his Bengal tiger. Marlon Brando wasn't just famous for his extraordinary talent, he was also known for the bizarre habits that made even Hollywood shake its head. In the mid-1960 seconds, he caused chaos in Beverly Hills when he decided to keep a Bengal tiger in the backyard of his mansion. The tiger was fed fresh meat every day, lounged by the pool like a regular guest, and sometimes even wandered freely around Brando's sprawling garden. Neighbors whispered about the roars echoing through the night, and mail carriers were so terrified they started tossing letters over the gate rather than walking up to the house. But the most chilling story came from a young actor who once visited Brando hoping for an autograph. He had barely stepped into the garden when a massive, golden-striped tiger slowly emerged from the bushes, staring at him as if deciding whether he might be lunch. The poor actor nearly fainted, while Brando burst out laughing, utterly delighted. When the tiger grew too large and too powerful, Brando reluctantly handed it over to a zoo, closing the chapter on one of the strangest legends surrounding a Hollywood icon already famous for being unpredictable. Number 6. John Barrymore's final prank. John Barrymore, the legendary member of the famous Barrymore acting dynasty, was known for a wild, unpredictable personality that matched his enormous talent. But the strangest story about Barrymore happened after he died. In 1942, when his body was taken to the funeral home, a group of his closest friends, Errol Flynn, W.C. Fields, and director Raoul Walsh, decided to carry out one last prank for the man who had lived his entire life loving surprises. According to several accounts, they secretly borrowed Barrymore's body and brought it to Walsh's house. And they didn't just prop him up in a chair. One version claims they even dressed him in a sharp, stylish outfit, as if giving him one last appearance in true Barrymore fashion. When Errol Flynn stumbled home drunk and saw Barrymore sitting in the dark, he nearly had a heart attack before realizing it was his friend's body. Number 7. The mysterious death of George Reeves. George Reeves, television's first Superman, was found dead from a gunshot wound in his home in 1959. Although the case was officially ruled a suicide, a series of strange details turned his death into one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. Reeves was discovered in his Benedict Canyon home with a fatal gunshot wound, but while the police labeled it a suicide, the odd circumstances surrounding the scene fueled decades of conspiracy theories. Guests in the house waited an unusually long time before calling the police. Some pieces of evidence appeared to have been disturbed, and Reeves's body showed bruises that didn't match anyone's explanation. The case grew even more unsettling when neighbors reported hearing multiple gunshots. Not just one, as the official report stated. What made the case especially suspicious was Reeves' life at the time of his death. He was planning a wedding, had already booked his honeymoon, and showed no signs of despair. But he was also involved in a complicated affair with the wife of a powerful MGM executive, a man rumored to have ties to the mafia and alleged to have ordered hits on people who crossed him. Though the case was closed long ago, the death of George Reeves remains a dark crack in Hollywood's history, a place where the truth still has no clear answer. Number 8. The mysterious death of Thelma Todd. Thelma Todd, the witty, glamorous actress who worked with the Marx Brothers, left behind one of Hollywood's most haunting unsolved mysteries. On the morning of the 16th of December, 1935, she was found dead inside her car, parked in the garage above her own restaurant. The official report claimed carbon monoxide poisoning, but nearly every detail surrounding her death raised unsettling questions. Thelma was still wearing her sparkling evening gown and diamond jewelry, yet her face showed traces of blood, and her body appeared to have been moved. The garage door was locked from the outside, and the car keys were nowhere to be found, details that made many investigators believe she couldn't have died by her own hand. And then came the detail that truly chilled people. A neighbor reported hearing a woman scream around 3 a.m., the very time Thelma is believed to have died. But police dismissed the statement almost immediately, calling it irrelevant. The case was closed quickly as an accident, but the strange, lingering fragments of that night left Hollywood convinced of one thing: Thelma Todd did not die alone, and the truth was buried with her in the darkness of that December night. Number 9. The strange death of Carl Switzer. Carl Switzer, the beloved child star from The Little Rascals, met a strange and tragic end in 1959. After his Hollywood career faded, he survived through small jobs, training dogs, guiding hunting trips, anything that paid. The chain of events leading to his death began when Switzer helped find a lost dog and received a $50 reward, plus a $15 bar tab he felt should also be reimbursed. Believing the payment wasn't enough, Switzer went to the dog owner's home, a man named Moses Stilts, to demand more. The confrontation escalated quickly. During the argument, Stilts grabbed a gun and shot Switzer in the groin. Switzer bled to death on the way to the hospital. Newspapers barely mentioned the incident, and Stilts was acquitted on grounds of self-defense, even though a later witness contradicted his story. Despite once being a major star, Switzer died burdened with debt and scraping by with odd jobs. Even his funeral expenses had to be covered by a friend from his hunting circle. Number 10. James Dean and his posthumous Oscar campaign. After James Dean's sudden death in 1955, Warner Brothers launched one of the strangest Oscar campaigns Hollywood had ever seen, an effort to secure a nomination for an actor who was no longer alive. With Giant set for release, the studio didn't quiet down the publicity. They intensified it in a bold, unusual way. It's said that Warner Brothers hired a voice actor to imitate Dean and record fake interviews, which were then played on radio as if Dean were still alive. The studio reportedly even created a life-size wax figure of Dean and displayed it at screenings, giving audiences the eerie impression that he was attending the premiere of his own film. The campaign grew even stranger when Warner Brothers released promotional materials hinting that Dean wanted to be honored from beyond the grave. This bizarre strategy actually worked. James Dean received a nomination for Best Actor for Giant in 1957, more than a year after his death. Number 11. The tragic story of Peg Entwistle. Peg Entwistle, a young actress who once dreamed of becoming a star, became one of the most heartbreaking symbols of Hollywood's darker side when she ended her life in 1932. Her shoe, her coat, and her suicide note were found at the base of the Hollywoodland sign, and her body was discovered in the ravine below. What makes her story especially eerie is how it happened. Peg had climbed the maintenance ladder all the way to the top of the 50-foot-tall letter H in the Hollywoodland sign. After reading the giant words Hollywoodland towering over the city, the very symbol of the industry she felt had rejected her, she jumped. Peg's death later inspired numerous films, plays, and ghost stories, making her more famous in death than she ever was in life, and turning her into one of Hollywood's most enduring legends of tragedy. Number 12. Hitchcock's collection of human body parts. Alfred Hitchcock didn't just create fear on screen, he kept it alive right inside his office. Behind a locked cabinet door, he kept a strange collection of artificial human body parts. Hands, eyes, ears, even patches of skin crafted to look disturbingly real. Everything was sorted, labeled, and organized with meticulous care. To Hitchcock, these weren't props, they were part of a ritual. Before filming any scene involving violence or a dead body, he would lay the entire collection out on a table, rearranging and adjusting each piece while directing his crew on the smallest details. Hitchcock even insisted that some of the parts be modeled after real people, often critics or individuals who had annoyed him. Composer Bernard Herrmann once recalled Hitchcock proudly showing him a fake hand modeled after a critic who had written a harsh review, a hand that later appeared in a scene where birds peck at a corpse. Even more unsettling was Hitchcock's retirement plan. After his death, he wanted certain body parts from the collection to be mailed anonymously to specific Hollywood figures, each accompanied by a cryptic note. Years later, studio employees started finding stray pieces from the collection in drawers, storage rooms, and even unused warehouses. No one knew how they got there, or whether Hitchcock had left behind one final prank for Hollywood. Number 13. MGM's Midget Village. MGM once built what they called a midget village, a miniature residential community created specifically for the little-person actors who worked on films like The Wizard of Oz. Everything in this village, the houses, the furniture, even the post office and grocery store, was designed at a smaller scale, forming a world completely separate from the rest of Hollywood. But what makes this place truly unsettling was the level of control the studio exerted over its residents. They were required to wear their fantasy costumes whenever they stepped outside, as if their real lives were simply an extension of the film. MGM even performed regular height checks and expelled anyone who grew too tall to fit the studio's standards. And the most disturbing part, the village had a strict curfew. Anyone who came home late could be punished losing roles, losing pay, or being removed from a production altogether. Some residents later said they felt like they were living in a miniature prison, where even their sleep schedules had to bend to Hollywood's spotlight. Number 14. The strange obsessions of Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes, aviation tycoon and owner of RKO Pictures, became infamous for his extreme eccentricities during the years he controlled part of Hollywood. He demanded bizarre accommodations on set, a private bathroom only he was allowed to use, tissues wrapped around his shoes to avoid germs, and handwritten notes to communicate with directors even when he was standing right next to them. Hughes also insisted on photographing and cataloging detailed measurements of every contract actress, a personal inventory so invasive that even studio executives grew uneasy. While producing The Outlaw, he became obsessed with Jane Russell's bust, to the point of designing a special bra for her based on aeronautical principles. He reportedly used a microscope to study her scenes, checking the movement frame by frame. Even after retreating into isolation, Hughes continued running the studio from afar through odd, meticulously written instructions, sometimes going years without speaking directly to a single executive. Number 15. The strange death of Rudolph Valentino. The sudden death of Rudolph Valentino in 1926 opened one of the strangest chapters in Hollywood history. The silent film icon died at 31 after surgical complications, but the oddities began long before his final breath. A famous fortune teller in the entertainment world, who had met Valentino earlier, once predicted that he would die at 31. Everyone treated it as a joke, until the prophecy came true in the most unsettling way. When Valentino passed, the entire country fell into hysteria. More than 100,000 people crowded the streets to see him one last time, creating chaos so severe it turned into near riots. Glass shattered, dozens were injured, and grief dissolved into a kind of collective frenzy. But the most haunting part came afterward. Every year, on the anniversary of his death, a woman dressed in black appeared silently at his grave, placed a single red rose, and vanished without a trace. For decades, her identity remained a mystery, a ghostly presence that obsessed Hollywood. Valentino's death was not just the loss of a movie star. It was the beginning of one of the most enduring, eerie legends the film capital has ever known. And those were 15 of the strangest stories from old Hollywood. Secrets hidden behind the bright lights, where the truth is often stranger than any film they ever made. These stories remind us that behind every legend, there are shadows no one ever expects. What about you? Out of these 15 tales, which star or which secret shocked or haunted you the most? Share your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear everyone's perspective. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any more mysterious stories from Hollywood's past. See you in the next video, where the truth is always stranger than the movies.